Good afternoon, everyone. Andal Star Saber here to do another roster review. This one's going to be of Earl Spengali, who for DPR members, Dark Phoenix Rising, that is, you probably just learned about him. But a little background on him personally, he's been in the guild for a while. He showed great promise and great leadership potential. He actually is one of my most trusted officers in Dark Phoenix Squadron. And he has come over here to Dark Phoenix Rising to help um, blow things up in this heroic Sith raid. He has developed his teams well enough that he can totally decimate phase 3 of the heroic Sith raid by himself. He can solo the whole thing. Last raid, he scored about 46 million through the entire raid. That's actually more than I've ever achieved in the heroic Sith raid, so I'm very proud of him and what he's accomplished. He didn't originate with Dark Phoenix Squadron. He actually came in a little later through our the Greater Doom family that we're a part of, which is a network of guilds that gives us access to people, a lot of good players who haven't found a really good home in some of the other guilds and have come over to us. In the case of Earl, I believe that his previous guild that he was with was a little too high paced. His roster wasn't quite ready for some of the content they were working with. In fact, his roster wasn't nearly what it is now when he came over, but he has come a long way, and I'm very impressed with his progress so far. And we're going to give him a few pointers, a few tips that might help him take it to the next level. So now, first thing I like to do when I go into these rosters is to try to look at the rankings. It's right there in front of me here. He's averaging about 250 to 300 in both the arena and the fleet rankings. Now, one thing he wants to try to make a goal, I would think, is try to get in the top 50. Is try to build a team, build a mod set, build anything that will get him there. So I'm going to take a look at what he's got and see if we can get him there, make a few suggestions. Now, his galactic power overall is about 3.65 million. Pretty good. It's a very strong roster. I don't remember where he was exactly when he came over to us, but I know that's quite a lot improved since he came over to us. And you can see he's got a pretty healthy number of Gear 12 in his roster as well. A lot of that he's been building has clearly been dedicating towards becoming better in the Sith raid, which has helped us a lot, especially recently when he learned how to solo Phase 3. But overall, he's done a pretty good job, too. And he's got some of the major teams. He's got a Commander Luke Skywalker. He's got Rey Jedi Training. He's got a full Night Sisters complement, which he's currently using. And one thing that sticks out in my mind, he's got strong trade, and he's got a pretty strong contingent of Galactic Republic as well. So looking forward at what content's about to come, my recommendation is to take a look at those teams and see if maybe with what you have in your mods available, see if you can make one of those two teams work. My recommendation would be Galactic Republic, and the reason is I noticed first thing I looked for, because I mean Night Sisters is okay, don't get me wrong, it's actually a very good team, but it's very much a struggling team when it comes to the top end content. But what I have noticed here is you have, pardon the notifications here that'll pass in a minute. You have done quite a lot of work on your Galactic Republic already. You have an Ahsoka Tano with a Zeta. You have a Jedi Anakin with a Zeta. Not yet a Kenobi with a Zeta, which isn't necessarily a big deal, but it's a 12. It's a Gear 12. Looks like your Ahsoka Tano is also well geared, probably Gear 11. I have a hard time reading this on my phone. But, so I think you're already well on your way to building a team. And you have a Padme Amidala, which I think is what you are probably looking at doing the work. And I can see you've built her up with health mods. That's good. That's something you want. And I can tell you've been working on her. In fact, I think you may be already on the same wavelength as I am at starting this team. I think this is one that will carry you much higher than what you're currently getting with your Night Sister. So I highly encourage you to work towards that end. right now because I think you would do well with it. So build on your Padme. I know it's a bit of a grueling process to get her there, but if you get her up to gear 11 and leave it all with the gear 12 piece in there that requires 7 stars, um, she'll be pretty healthy and very viable as far as taking you up. I think in the top 50 is a good goal for you for now. Another thing to work on there, a lot of people have been using C3PO in their lineup, so you'll want to make sure you save a few Zetas for him. I mean, he's good at rating in general. He's how I get my Phase 1 scores and the Heroic Sith rate over 10 million. He's also how I can solo the Heroic AT raid, so you won't go wrong in getting those Zetas on 3PO. Those are two moves that stick out to me. And one of the reasons I look at Padme and see that as a viable team for you specifically, because I also notice your mods are not the greatest yet. They're not horrible, but I mean, looking at things like Yoda here, you only have 22 speed on it. I think we've been over with you how to farm mods properly and how to make efficient use of things. Looking at Night Sisters, you can the Night Sister team that you use for Rena, you've got some decent speed on some of these characters. Like your Asajj Ventress has 75 extra speed. Your Mother Talzin has 89 extra speed, which is getting better. Not quite to the extent you'd be real competitive in the top end stuff, 67, but it's getting there. In the top end mods, you want to have the speedy characters, the ones you want to have speedy over 100 as much as possible. And I didn't see anyone in your roster, I don't know your entire roster yet, that had that 100 plus speed. You may not have any. I can look at some culprits though and see if there's any that might be there. You have Hermit Yoda pretty fast, that's good. Another one you want to make speedy, Thrawn. You've done a pretty good job making him speedy 83. So I can tell you've diversified a little bit. Not much with R2, but that's one I typically see being speedy. Man, they love to call it this time of day. Telemarkers, yeah. Ooh, and you've got some good speed on your BB-8. So you have got some decent speed mods. I would consider, if you don't have your mod sets designated already, try to make that one that you use on an arena team member, and that all depends on what your team composition is. My recommendation for you here is work on this Galactic Republic for a little bit of time. Put some time and effort into it. Get those Padme geared, and add a couple Zetas. Get C3PO geared. Add some Zetas. That would be, I'd say, a very efficient way where you can focus and maybe take your team up to the into the top 100, maybe even the top 50 over a period of time, because you've got some strength here in the Galactic Republic, and your Kenobi is all the way in the Gear 12 Plus category. So I would say that's probably closest for you in getting to where you want to get. Now, the one reason I'm recommending this team with Padme, you actually want to keep her nice and slow, so you don't have as many speed mods as maybe some other people do, but you want to just do what you've been doing here. Add a lot of health. Now, let's see. You'd add a little bit of speed. You can even tone some of that down. So what you can do is you can look at these mods, and maybe instead of a 30 speed health mod, if you have it available, maybe throw on a plus health percentage mod and look for plus health in the base stats. Because what you want to do with your Padme, make her as absolutely healthy as possible. So this is a good example right here of a mod you want. It's got the health percentage on the primary stat. It's got high plus health in the secondary stats. And it doesn't have a lot of speed. The reason you don't want Padme to be fast is because you actually want her to go last on your team if you do Galactic Republic. Because what will happen is if you have to run against, say, for instance, the Darth Revan team, which is actually known to excel at, you want her to go after just about everyone, and she can use her cunning plan ability, which will dispel all the buffs on your light side allies, bring some of that health back, and give them protection up. And that's how the team takes off. So make her slow, healthy, and have her go last on your team. And keep gearing her up because right now you got a little ways to go, and I'm sure you are aware of that. But that's where I could see you going in the near future. That will help you overcome some of your maybe current difficulties and get a little higher. You've done a good job building your team for raids. I don't have much to suggest there. When you can blow 46 million in the heroic Sith raid, sure, there's probably ways you can stretch your roster to better. Like once you get light side Jedi Revan, for instance. But since that doesn't seem to be the nearest milestone to you, I'm going to suggest you steer away from that and maybe focus your Galactic Republic. Another thing, as I look at your inventory, that would be worth your while and where this game is going, is take another look at your Separatist roster. Now, your Separatist roster is good enough to get you the 5-star Padme, which is good. See if you can take it some more and get it into the 6 and 7-star. To do that, unfortunately, you're going to have to level your Grievous. Your Grievous right now, you haven't built him up very much. And it looks like maybe you're trying to head that direction. Take him to 7 stars. Use all of the shard currency you've been getting to help boost that up a little quicker. Any opportunities you get there. Keep working your Magna Guard. You already got him at 7 stars. Keep working your B2 Super Battle Droid, who you already have at 7 stars. If you can, build up your Droidicon B1 Battle Droid, but you can do just fine with Count Dooku and Newt Gunray on your team and build those characters up as well. Those are some suggestions. You already have Ventures tricked out. So, being that, if you can bring your General Grievous up to speed, I would say it's not too much of a stretch for you to get Padme up to 6 or even 7 stars using that lineup. And then, just keep working Newt Gunray, keep working your Count Dooku, keep working your Magna Guard because he's about to be very good. Get some Zetas, at least on General Grievous is unique, and that'll help you there. So those are 2 things I'd work on. Your Galactic Republic that you have currently, and maybe as a secondary priority, start working your Separatist teams. I think that will get you the most bang for the buck in the near term as far as building up your arena score, building up your grand arena for competitiveness, and you can get to the Revens later. It's no rush for you if you can build up these teams to be very solid. That would be a good investment for you. Now look at your fleet here. You're in the top 300. Not horrible. You want to try to get it again in the top 50 if you can make it. Looking at your roster, you have some options where you can go with it. I can see you've been working Geonosians. Not a bad way to get there. You can augment that with your Darth Maul Scimitar, and that's a pretty solid team. It's a few metas ago. One thing I would try to work in there, build up your Houndstooth, get him to 7 stars, because you want him in your lineup, generally in the front line when you're good. In fact, if you do that, what a lot of people have seen done successfully in the past is you have the Houndstooth in the front lineup in place of the Geonosian Spy. When you build up the Geonosian Spy's reinforcement ability to the right level, it'll create kind of a reverse taunt on your opponent. And then that can sometimes be the target that's most vulnerable that you want to target. That can circumvent the opponent's taunt, and you can pick off some of the easier targets that do a lot of damage to your team. So that's a very valuable thing there. I would also continue to work your other bounty hunters. So your Xanadu Blood, you already got Slave One pretty good. I hope you have that in your lineup somewhere right now, because you have a good gearing Boba Fett on a 7-star Slave One. Work on your Xanadu Blood, work on your 2000, keep farming those hard nodes. If you get those hard nodes, build those up. Those will go very well with your Houndstooth, and those will get you over the Millennium Falcon hurdle. Once you have the Millennium Falcon hurdle, you can be really competitive in your current meta, and looks like your home one is already built to 85. I don't see that being as steep a climb for you as maybe some other things would be. Keep working on your Phantom. Looks like it's pretty good as it is, since you have all the reinforcement abilities. That's one you can definitely consider putting in your lineup as well. The reinforcement of the Phantom, and a lot of people like to bring Ghost in if you have Phantom already, because the two have great synergies together. Um, I'd at least take a look at that capability, and that'll give you some flexibility there. You may not want to put your Xanadu Blood Urine 2000 in your starting lineup or in your lineup for Arena, but I would say at least get them to 5 stars. Get yourself to that 5 star Falcon. Once you get the 5 star, see how good it is. You'll probably want to get to the 6 and the 7 stars. So you'll probably want to keep working Xanadu Blood and A2000. The nice thing about that, you don't necessarily build those ships up too far if you've got other priorities to get the Falcon. You just need them to be at the 6 and 7 star to really be even a 5 star just to get the Falcon for you. And then you can decide from there whether or not you want to keep working it or not. And keep building Houndstooth, of course. You're never going to go around with Houndstooth. Keep building that. Overall, very good job. I mean, considering where you started from, these are just suggestions to take it to the next level. I mean, I would say keep farming shards to a certain extent to get you to that Revan. If you got nothing else you're really farming right now, or nothing that's important, I would say keep working on those Old Republic characters because they're still going to be good in the grand scheme of things, even when they're not meta. But you're probably not going to use these characters as meta. Looking at it, you don't have your Jolie Vindo advance very far. A lot of them are at 3 and 4 stars. You're not going to have them anytime soon. And you look at your Sith Empire, it's more or less the same thing. You got a lot of climbing up to do. I would suggest maybe working that Bastila Fallen a little quicker than some of the others. The reason for that being, you don't necessarily need to use her in a Darth Revan lineup to be solid investment. You can use her with something you have built up quite a bit, which is your Sith, which includes your Traya, and you've actually got some really strong supporting Sith. Your Emperor Palpatine, your Darth Vader, your Darth Nihilus, your Sith Trooper. These are all very good. You may actually use these in Arena now and get better investment than you would trying to use your Galactic Republic now. But I would say Galactic Republic's going to buy you more in the long term. You can use your Sith right now to get yourself higher. And if you do, you may want to decide for yourself whether or not it's worth investing Zetas in Scion and Nihilus. Those are the only things that will hold a triumvirate team on your end back. You might be able to get quite a ways on offensive. Defensively, it's probably not going to stand too far. So, those are some things I would consider doing that. It may be a worthy investment for you in the short term. Get yourself in the top ends of the arena, because I will tell you, once you start seeing your numbers getting here in the I just need to turn off these notifications. I apologize. They always seem to come this time of day, but once you get yourself into that range, and you can see I'm already in top 20 as it is, and I haven't even started my climbing yet. If you're getting the second and first place every day, that's a quick 450, 500 crystals you're getting. If you're not in a shard, get in a shard chat on Discord. Easiest way to do that is make yourself noticed, and the easiest way to make yourself noticed is to start climbing in those top positions. So that's something I highly recommend. Ship rewards, more or less the same thing. When you build your fleet arena, I've got a little bit of climb to do tonight, but I intend to be number one pretty much every night for here in the foreseeable future, because the other person who shares the shard with me, he's not going to be there. What you can get, though, is you can get to that number one spot. You can get 1,800. You can basically get a Zeta a day. A little less than that, but almost a Zeta a day just by getting number one in your ship's arena. So you want to build those up. And to do that, you're going to need to get the Millennium Falcon eventually. I don't think you're going to break top 50 by super far without Millennium Falcon. That's very hard to do. It depends on the competitiveness of your shard, of course. So you're going to need to figure out when you can do that. So bottom line here, I would say good progress on your end. I think you built up your roster quite a bit since I first met you and we first brought you into Dark Phoenix Squadron. And I would say definite room for growth. I wouldn't prioritize the Revens for now. I would throw shards and gear at a minimal, less impactful level. I would focus on gearing your Galactic Republic. I would focus on maybe Zetaing your Sith characters and try for a triumvirate run to get yourself in the top 50 if you can. Maybe top 100, I don't know. It all depends on your shard. So those are my suggestions for now. If you have any questions, we can discuss definitely in line chat or Discord. Um, since I know you use both liberally, I'm not going to suggest in-game chat because that kind of clobbers up the weakest chat tool that we have available. So anyway, good work. That's all I have for now. Um, we'll try to run another video here for Tegus tonight. Try to take a little bit of what he's working with and try to give him some pointers. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. You do a roster review for yourself. Help you take where you are and take it to the next level. This is Ando Star Saber signing off. Out.